This is how to join yarn, part 2. And we're going to begin with a Russian join, which would be number 6. And it's a way of making a double loop join. Now I've got my tapestry needle, the yarn on there. I'm holding a loop off to the side, and I'm just going to weave my needle through. I'm going to pull it through with the end, and I've created a loop. So I'm going to put that loop down, and I'm going to loop the other yarn through it. First I'm going to take the needle and pull it through. Now you see it's got a loop inside a loop. I'm pulling up not the end, but the other edge, the yarn that you're going to be working with. Do the same thing, weave it through. Now I'm pulling the end and the needle off. So I've got 2 loops together, and I take the ends of each yarn and tighten them up to create a join. So this was, you can use it to change colors, but it's also good to use for when you're using the same color and you don't want a bump there, you want a pretty even join. Now, most of the instructions I've read have said to cut off the ends close. However, you'll notice when I'm not pulling the ends, it starts to loosen up. So instead, I would pull it tightly, and I would take both ends and work, as you start over here, just work both of the yarns together, go through, and keep working, and then if you have a little end sticking out, cut that off. But I definitely would not cut them close to the slip knot. The other 3 ways are changing color within a project, which you could use for color blocking or intarsia, or maybe you're just adding a simple design. Now this first one will be floating. I'm just going to carry the yarn across the back. I've already joined my pink with a knot over at the other end. So now I'm doing single crochets, but of course you can be using any stitch. And when you have your last 2 loops on the hook, that's when you drop the other color to the back, and I'm picking up my new color. And I'm going to work my new color, my pink, across a couple stitches here. And then as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to go through, I'm going to pick up my last 2 loops, I'm going to drop the pink to the back, and I'm picking up my blue color, finishing that stitch with, and I'm just floating it across the back. Be careful not to pull it too tightly, otherwise you're going to throw your tension off. And I'm going to continue with this, and if it was a longer piece, I was going to add my pink. Again, I would now just pick up my pink and begin with my next stitches and float that across the back. As you can see that loop hanging out in the back, and you can do the same thing when you're working up the side and changing colors. However, it's best not to have too many stitches. So 2 or 3 stitches for a float, or if you're going up the side, maybe even 3 or 4 rows would be okay. Now on the side, you're going to be working a border around it, so you'll hide those floats. However, in this case, the only way you could hide the floats is if you were working the next row and pulling them up and working over them. But again, you're going to be working the opposite color probably. So if you're doing something like a Fair Island design where you're just doing 2 or 3 stitches, you know, this color was constantly, it was a pink, it was a blue, it was a pink, it was a blue, then the floats might work well. However, if you're going to be using something where you have to keep catching those floats, it would be better to work over them. And that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to pull this out, and we'll get back to this last blue stitch, and I'm going to pull up the 2 loops, and in this case after I change color, I'm dropping the blue to the back and I'm picking up my pink, but now I'm going to carry this blue along the back of my work, and I'm going to encase my blue color with the pink. So let me hold the blue along, and I'm just going to continue now with my pink color, working over the blue, and then when I get ready to change colors, I'm going to put the 2 pink loops on my hook. I'm going to drop it, and I'm going to pick up my blue, which is right there. And as I continue to work the blue across, I would be holding the pink now in the back. So I would always have my yarn ready to use when I get to use that color again, but it would be encased and covered. Let me pull that up. Of course, the front's nice and clean, the right side, and when you turn it over, it's looking pretty clean also. So that is one way of doing it. The only problem you would have with that, with this color, it's not showing through at all. But if you have a large contrast in color, maybe the blue is actually black and the pink is white. Now the black would probably cover over the white yarn. However, in the white yarn, you might see the black shining through, or it can be a shadow running behind the black. And you probably wouldn't want to see that. So the best way to handle that situation, I'm going to go back again, and I'm going to pick up my last 2 blue stitches, and this time I am dropping the blue to the back. I'm just dropping it to the back, and I am not going to use it on this row. I'm done with it. And this really works well for large blocks or intarsia where you want very clean edges. So now I'm picking up my pink to finish that stitch, and I'm going to do my pink stitches, and then when I get to the end of my pink block, I'm ready to change color. I am dropping the pink to the back, but now I'm picking up a new blue. And I would tie it in however you want to join it. I'm not going to bother to really do it now. I'm just going to work over it. So I'm now going to work, the pink is totally dropped to the back. I am not working with it at all. And I'm working over the blue. Now when I change colors, when I change rows, I'm going to go up one and I'm going to turn it. Well, obviously, if you're working with a number of skeins, it can get a little awkward. Or if you just have small pieces, you can, like I'm doing for the sample here, I just have a little bit of this blue yarn to show this row. And as I'm working back, I'm going to do my stitch, and I'm coming over to my change, and I'm dropping the blue now to the front, which is actually the wrong side of the work. This other side is going to be my right side. And I am picking up my new pink to complete this stitch here. And I'm going to then proceed to work across with the pink. And when I get to the end of the pink, I'm going to drop it again to my front, but really the back or the wrong side of the work. And I'm picking up my new color and going to work with it across the blue color. And I'm just going to pull that out. And the reason I am dropping it is because to the one side, as you'll start to see, it's not quite as clean as the front side will be. There'll be little loops. As you pull it up, you'll see little extra yarn loops going up, and you don't want that on your front. So this is the wrong side, but there's nothing hanging out. And when I turn it around, I've got my clean edge of my stitches, whatever my design's going to be. So that's another nice way of changing yarns. And if you would like to see the written instructions for any of these techniques, go to Free Patterns at simpleandsensational.com.